Well, Baltimore, Ferguson, just two cities where recent unrest boiled over between police and people. Well, this morning, we are laying out the rules with what police can do legally when it comes to probable cause. Crime Tracker 10's Angela Ann joins us now to explain that fine line.
Joining us this morning from Hilliard is Lieutenant David Plesich. And Lieutenant, let's talk a little bit about some of these tense emotions that we have seen in recent months. Seems like they have slowly died down, but there's still a lot of questions when it comes to police authority.
That's right. Police officers have the ability to arrest someone when they have probable cause, which means that it's more likely than not that someone committed a crime.
There are some people that say that the arrest still comes without probable cause. Can that happen?
Well, officers have the authority to detain and question someone temporarily when they have what's called reasonable suspicion that criminal activity is afoot.
So what would be some examples of that?
Well, for example, if an officer is looking for a suspect that looks like, say, Angelina Jolie, and you happen to resemble Ms. Jolie, the officer would have the authority to detain you. Or if an officer sees a suspect that he believes is casing a joint or loitering in preparation for a robbery, he would be able to detain that person. Or if an officer sees someone that just doesn't fit the time and place of an area and the person tries to conceal himself and then maybe runs away, that officer would be in his rights to detain that person.
It sounds like some of that might be the fine line that the public has questions and concerns about. At that point, how do you or how does the public determine who's in the right?
Well, ultimately, the court and the judge is going to decide if there was reasonable suspicion for that detention. We would just ask people to keep in mind, you don't know when you're being detained, perhaps, the information that the officer has. Okay. For example, if you look like Ms. Jolie, you don't know maybe that the officer is looking for somebody that looks exactly like you. So you have the duty to comply with the officer's request, provide your name and date of birth or some type of identification when you're legally detained. And we ask people to do that and help the officer, because you might be even a witness to a crime that we might be trying to investigate.
And there is something called the Terry stop here in Ohio. Explain what that means.
Well, actually, this is what we're talking about when we talk about reasonable suspicion. The officer has the ability to detain someone under these circumstances, and it stems from a 1968 Ohio case, Terry versus Ohio. Some people refer to them as Terry stops or stop and frisks or investigative detentions.
I know stop and frisks were pretty controversial in New York City. What is that rule here in Ohio?
Well, it's the same rule. You have to have reasonable suspicion to make that detention. I think the problem might have been in New York. They were probably making those detentions maybe based on a little bit less than had risen to the level of that reasonable suspicion.
Maybe profiling to that point.
Well, we don't use the word profiling. We just look at each case separately and not so much on the person as the activity and the behavior.
Good point. Lieutenant Plesich, thank you so much. A lot of information for people to break down. If you want to learn more, we have some links online at 10tv.com, and you can find that under the Crime Tracker 10 link.